happened in World War II? You went to Germany?
I was in Germany, yes. I occupied Germany.
How'd you get there?
Well, first I went in with a squad, which was 9 men.
But did you go in a plane to Germany?
No, I jumped air parachute.
Yeah.
That's how I got into Germany. I parachuted with a squad.
In Normandy, right?
I had 9 men. Well, we were outside of Normandy, and we took over a German outpost. I'm trying to think. I shot the 2 guys outside, and I shot 4 guys in. They had about 7 guys in an outpost. And I killed them.
By yourself?
I was only 19 years old.
You did that by yourself?
I was by myself.
What kind of gun did you carry back then?
Automatic. It was a carbine, but you could put a clip of 30 rounds in it, and I carried. Here I had 30 rounds here, 30 rounds here, 30 rounds in my gun, and under my Jeep I had 2 things of 30 rounds. I carried a lot of ammo.
Yeah, we were prepared for that.
And I also had what they call it, a grenade launcher. I could put that on the end of my rifle and fire grenades from here to across the street, blow up a tank if it was sitting over there.
How did you meet your wife?
My wife?
Yeah.
I think she was in one of the rehab places for wounded soldiers. And they were, let's see, they took a bullet out of my thigh. They took one out of my arm, one on my side. I had 3 shells in me, they took them out. And I was recouping, and I met her. She was a visiting nurse, I guess. That's how I met my wife. Oh, I know how I met her. She kept trying to stick a bedpan under me. I says, "Go away, I don't use bedpans." That's how I met her.
And you said she was hiding you?
Huh?
She hid you?
Well, I was hidden for I'm trying to think. About 4 days, 3 or 4 days. I was hidden all over that house. And the German soldiers would come through every 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
1 or 2 of them would come through and search the house. Well, then one day, there was a couple of soldiers searching the house, and they weren't German soldiers. I looked up, they were Americans. I couldn't believe it. We had occupied that part of Germany. And so I got to quit hiding. They took me in, gave me a Jeep, and let me take off. And I went back to my division, and lo and behold, 5 of my buddies were dead. There was only 2 buddies left.
Of how many?
That I took training with.
Out of how
A
many?
division.
450? Is that what you said?
It was a big division. I only remembered 3 or 4 other guys. They were young. The young guys, when we went out on patrol, would stay back in the Jeep, and we'd tell them to take off if we got jumped, you know. But I was in an outpost for about 4 months. I was up on an outpost by myself. I'd take the Jeep, I'd drive back down and check a couple of points where we had more men, get supplies if I needed them, and mostly ammo. I kept running out of ammo. I had an M1 rifle that I wouldn't let go of because it had a launcher on it, a grenade launcher. And I used a lot of grenades when I was over there. I could see the enemy coming across the street, that far, that close. And they wouldn't know where the hell I was. I could just take my M1 rifle with a grenade launcher and go like that and fire it. They would hear, but they couldn't get out of the way. They'd start running, and they could run maybe 10 feet, and the grenades would hit over there. So I could blow up guys as they were running away.
Where were you hiding when you did that?
My grenade launchers?
No, where were you? Where were you? Like, were you hiding behind something, or?
I could have been under a desk in this room, right here. No, I'm trying to think. And I used a grenade launcher. Oh, the woman was hiding me in her bedroom. And under her bed. She was. Germans would come into her house and she'd say, "Oh, you guys back? I thought I fed you already. What do you want, some coffee or," you know, and she'd take them out in the kitchen and give them something, and then they'd leave.
Yeah.
But I stayed with her almost 2 months. She said, "We have to wait till somebody drops behind enemy lines to come for you." I could never figure that one out. She kept me there and hid me and took care of me. And one day she walked in and tapped on my shoulder, and I looked up, and here was a first lieutenant in my division. Says, "Well, Tony, we thought we lost you, but you're still alive."
It's crazy.
She says, "You're lucky you ran into her." She says she smuggled 4 or 5 of our men out of Germany. Yeah, that was hard times.
So you guys would hide in haystacks and barns?
Well, hello?
Hello. Pleasure talking to you.
Huh?
I said pleasure talking to you.
Uh-huh.
You have a great day.
You too.
Okay.
Take care.
You too.
Yeah, I was in a woman hid me in a haystack. And she'd come out with a cup of coffee or a cup of milk every once in a while. And she said, "The Germans have just gone through our town. And when they leave 1 or 2 Germans as guards in the town. But they weren't in her house. They were 100 yards away or something like that. And they'd come through, check the town once a day." He says, "You can't kill them. You kill them, then we'll have whole messes of German
Invading.
divisions in here." says when one of their men don't show up, they send a division in. He says, I know you want to kill them when you can, but you can't do that because they'll send a whole division into this town and wipe out everyone. Germans were very brutal that way.
You said they would kill their own people?
They took revenge very quickly.
You said they would kill their own people, right? Germans would kill their own people?
Oh, yes. Occupied France had more French people in there than they had Germans. But see, a lot of the German guys would marry French women. And so they'd stay there and they'd have children and work on the farm. I was lucky, very lucky that the first German girl that ran into me was one that would help smuggle American flyer pilots that bailed into that area because they had to. They got shot down. Would help smuggle them out. I was very lucky because there was one or two women that worked for the Germans. They'd take an American pilot and say, yeah, we're going to smuggle you out. You go right into a German war zone camp. Wake up in a prison. It was fun those days. I remember when one time, I had to bail out. And when I landed in German-occupied territory. But that's where I met my wife. This woman hid me. I was hiding for, God, almost 2 months. She feed me, take care of me, brought clothes. In fact, for 1 week there, I was a German soldier. Yeah, private.
Oh, you were dressed
I was wearing a German outfit
to blend
in her home, and the officer that was taking care of her was a German officer, and he would come and visit. And he wanted to make sure there was a German soldier to protect her there. So that's what I was doing.
How did you get the German soldier's uniform?
How did I what?
Get the uniform.
I took it off a dead soldier I killed. It's the only way you do it. You shoot one of them and take their clothing.
It fit.
In fact, they were better armed than we were. I got a lot of my ammo from dead soldiers I killed. Yeah, I had, I celebrated my 19th birthday over there. And I made my way to somebody told me they had an outgoing phone through one of our affiliate. I think it was there's a nice doggies. one black one all the time, great.
The German?
Yeah.
They had German shepherds, right?
Oh, they have them all over the place. They're killers. They just turn them loose and they'd find you.
Really?
I must have shot 5 or 6 dogs. Yeah, I was get her out of Germany. That's my wife now. She hid me in a haystack. She hid me in a barn. She hid me in the basement.
Did German soldiers come in to find you in the
They'd
haystack?
go all the way through the house and the barn several times. In fact, I quit counting, but I think I killed 7 of them. When they come in individually, I'd kill them. And she would drag the body outside and bury it out in the garden or something. There was German soldiers buried all over her garden. I mean, the one captain came looking for his soldiers. And I think she told him a first lieutenant, a German officer, had ordered them to come with him, you know, on the front lines. That happened all the time, though. One soldier would steal another soldier's division or borrow a whole squad of guys. The worst part was living for a month or 2 months, and one woman sneaking in and feeding you and taking care of you, and having to leave them behind. So somebody would come in from the Air Force, drop in, mostly very well trained, what do they call them? They would drop behind enemy lines and sneak in. But that's the type of guy that got me out. He knew all the ins and outs of how to hide and where to hide. And he talked fluent German. He says, I hear you're a teacher. I said, yeah. He says, where'd you teach? I told him, he says, I went to that college. You could have been one of my teachers. But we had a lot of fluent speaking Germans working behind enemy lines. They would see your parachute coming down, and they would greet you before the German soldiers could get to you. There's a couple of times that were pretty precarious. I remember the first German soldier I had to kill. God, he was 16, 17 years old. Like shooting one of your buddies, you know. I think the worst is I couldn't do anything when they came into the house of the woman that was hiding me. And I was very well hidden, and they didn't find me. But they were raping her, and I couldn't do a fucking thing about it.
The Germans were?
They raped every goddamn woman they got their hands on. German soldiers were brutal. they get a hold of a young gal, and 4 or 5 of them are raped, one after the other. Yeah. Hey, I killed 3 German soldiers that way. One soldier would come in, and the others would leave in a Jeep or something. I would go in, shoot him in the head. He's on top of the girl. It was a funny war.
Did your wife ever?
Huh?
Did your wife ever shoot a German soldier?
I think she had to shoot once. That's when we were driving away. A guy came out with a rifle with a scope on it. I think she shot him. And we got in the Jeep and drove off. I was wounded then. I had I don't know if I had a shrapnel in my leg or, you know, grenade launchers would shoot grenades, and they'd land 100 feet from you and blow up, and pieces of that shrapnel would be going every which way. I was lucky.
How would German soldiers find people that were hiding in haystacks?
They would
When you were hiding in
bayonets. They just go in the haystacks and start sticking their bayonet.
Did you ever get stuck by a bayonet?
No. I shot 2 German soldiers that were doing that alone. You know, you see a Jeep pull up, one guy would get out and the Jeep would take off. And he'd come over with a bayonet. He'd turn around, my gun would be right there, and I'd boom. I carried, believe it or not, a British officer's .38 caliber revolver. That was what I liked because it had 8 or 9 shots in the cylinder. And I liked to be very well, and I carried a submachine gun. But that was the pistol that I carried in my side. It was a British officer's. He got shot the first day. Yeah, there were all kinds of weird things going on. Smuggling soldiers out of occupied Germany. It was very difficult. I killed at least 4 young German soldiers to protect the guy that was smuggling me out. Maybe 5. One guy I didn't stay to see. I shot him twice and he went down. It was hard when you're behind enemy lines like that. You gotta conserve on your ammo. And I was running very, very low on ammo. And luckily, one of the German soldiers that I shot had an American rifle. So
he killed an American.
Huh?
He killed an American and took his rifle?
He must have. Or sometimes the Germans would go through with waves of men. And the capture 5 or 6 or 7, and they'd take the weapons away from them. And they'd use the weapons because our weapons were better than theirs, much better. I remember, who was it? It was a French guy. He says, German weapons were shit. I said, what do you mean shit? Scheiss, he said, Scheiss. He says, you fire the first bullet and they jam up.
Really?
Yeah, their rounds, for some reason, their cartridges, there'd be nine shells. The first one would go off and the others would jam. You'd only get one shot. And the only way you could use a German rifle was take the shell and put one shell in, cock it and fire it. Flip the shell out, put another shell in and cock it. Well, I had to do that twice. I was behind enemy lines and the only weapon I had was a German rifle. But the thing was, I was pretty knowledgeable about weapons and artillery. And I could look into a bin of all kinds of shells, and I pulled out this one, and these were armor-piercing bullets. I put those in my pocket, 2 or 3 of them, and put one in the gun. I didn't have to worry about a tank coming. I could shoot right through the armor.
What kind of gun were the bullets for?
Bullets were like a M30 caliber. But there was one that I got a hold of. Who was it? I think he was a guy that worked in the armory. And he got shot, killed. I grabbed his gun, and all of his were 45 caliber shells. He had redone the thing. Hello, doggy. And he had an automatic weapon that shot 45 shells. And that's, the 45 shell was a pistol, you know. But you could get 3 or 4 different types of ends on those shells. You could get armor piercing and bulletproof. And I remember one time when I was in occupied France, and we'd just taken out a German guide post, a 4-man and an automatic machine gun. I must have been crazy in those days. Some of the stuff I think back that I did, I was so damn foolish. I could have been killed just like that. I snuck up the back way of a mountain, came in behind a German machine gun nest, shot 5 guys. I was lucky I had an automatic weapon. Yeah, I was 19 years old that day. That was my birthday.
You climbed behind the mountain on your birthday?
Huh?
That was on your birthday when you went behind the mountain?
I went up behind the mountain, got in behind their machine gun nest and shot 5 guys on my birthday.
If you had to guess, how many total Germans do you think you shot?
Maybe 50. I took over in the Behave a 50 caliber machine gun. God, the shells are like that. I mean, the bullets themselves are that long. The shells are about like that. But to have all that ammo I had up there, and a machine gun, and I had a Tommy gun that I carried with me. It was fully loaded, so. No, you didn't have any trouble in the Korean War with finding a weapon anywhere.
Why?
I could shoot a couple of guys and pick up a weapon and, hello.
How are you?
She's been by here about 6 times. She smiles every time. Yeah, I had a lot of weapons at my disposal. Uh-oh, you have a beard shaved off?
Oh no, I don't let him touch that.
Watch the barber, he gets dangerous.
So why did you receive your Medal of Honor?
What?
Why did you receive a Medal of Honor?
A full colonel, a lieutenant general were captured. I went in with a Tommy gun, wiped out 7 German soldiers that were guarding him, wiped out the machine gun nest, killed a lieutenant general in the opposite army. I think that's why they decorated me. He said he came up there and he says all I saw was dead foreign soldiers all over the place. And he says you were the only one up there. So I guess that's my wife, I think.